Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Smith. I am here to talk about the Auburn Tigers today. My SEC season preview video series rolls on with the Tigers of Auburn. They were 6-5 last year, went 6-4 in the 10-game SEC schedule, lost to Northwestern in the Citrus Bowl. Big news, of course, was the firing of Gus Malzahn after the season. 7 seasons there, played for the national title in 2013, won the league that year, won another SEC West title in 2017. Pretty impressive 3-4 mark against Alabama, but just couldn't quite get over the hump. Struggled against LSU, struggled against Georgia, and those were probably the two series that doomed him and sealed his fate after a decent 7-year run with very high standards, of course, down on the plains. So they went west, far west, to Boise, Idaho, bringing in Brian Harsin, who's been mostly a West Coast guy. Did spend the year at Arkansas State as a head coach, was a coordinator at Texas briefly, but mostly is tied to Boise and the Chris Petersen regime there. So in he comes, brought some SEC flavor on his staff with Mike Bobo, former Georgia coordinator, South Carolina coordinator. He'll run that Auburn offense. And then Derek Mason, who was just fired along with Malzahn last year at Vanderbilt. He's going to bring his 3-4 defense down to Auburn and see if he can bring back the glory he had at Stanford in the early 2010s there. So that's the new staff for the Tigers. Do have some familiar faces on the offensive side of the ball. Bo Nix, now a junior. I thought he kind of plateaued last year as a sophomore. Again, how much you want to take from 2020. It's kind of risky to put all your eggs in that 2020 basket, given how weird a year it was. But I don't think he took many steps forward. His TD to INT ratio was down from 2019. Again, all SEC schedule, tougher. You don't have those cupcake games to beef up your stat sheet. But still, I just didn't see that growth. I thought it never really came together like we were expecting for Nix after a strong start to his career there. So we'll see. He's got 2 years left. Wouldn't write him off completely, but he may have plateaued. He may just end up being a mid-tier, okay, he can win 7-8 games a year with him type quarterback in this league. Running back, Tank Bigsby's the guy. He's the number one. He's going to be the bell cow this year. Expect 250, 300 carries, I think, from him is perfectly reasonable. One thing Harsin did at Boise was he adjusted his run-pass kind of preferences to the talent around him. He had a couple good backs there that played in the NFL. Jay Ajayi, you probably remember him with Miami. Alexander Madison, who's the backup with the Vikings now, to Dalvin Cook. When they were in Boise, they leaned on the run heavy. But if he had a good quarterback, didn't have that big running back, he was willing to throw it. And it looked like some of the old Boise teams with Kellen Moore out there. So I think knowing that, he's going to lean heavily on that run game. That offensive line is very experienced after not having much back last year. So I think that's going to be kind of a power offense this year for Auburn. Again, Bobo's done that kind of at Georgia when he had good running backs with Keith Marshall, Ty Gurley, and those guys. So he's probably comfortable doing that. And the other problem is, of course, the receiving core. Losing Seth Williams, losing Anthony Schwartz. Very thin group. They did add Demetrius Robertson, the 6th-year guy coming over from Georgia. He's just getting there now in early to mid-August. So to get him up to speed by early in the season, that's going to be tough. So again, I expect this to be an old-school run-based offense, leaned heavily on Bigsby, the sophomore. It should be, if you like that kind of old-school football like we saw from LSU and Alabama 10 years ago, not current LSU and Alabama, but not too long ago, I think you'll probably see that from Auburn this year. Flipping over to Derek Mason's defense, going to go with the 3-4. Did have a big loss here at the start of camp. Tyrone Truesdell, veteran player, expected to be the plug in the middle of that defensive line. He's hitting the portal. He won't be part of the team this year. So that defensive line is pretty thin. Nothing even close to the Derek Browns and Marlon Davidson type talent there. If it is, it's young, not a lot of experience. So do have some pretty significant concerns about that defensive front there. Linebackers are pretty good. Owen Pappoe, probably the captain of that defense, team leader. Zacoby McClain's been around a lot. So pretty good linebacking core there. Again, looking for some guys off the edge, but you're probably going to have to use McClain and Pappoe as well as pass rushers, even coming from the middle of that defense. Secondary, they're okay. Smoke Monday's back. You probably remember him from some of the huge plays he had, most notably the pick six in the 2019 Iron Bowl and that crazy Auburn win. Roger McCreary's back. He's played a lot of football as well. So the secondary, decent, not great. Shouldn't be a liability, but I don't expect them to be one of the best in the league by any stretch. Schedule-wise, it's Auburn. Obviously, it's always going to be tough with Alabama, Georgia, A&M, and LSU making up a 30-year schedule every year. Do have a really fun non-conference game up at Penn State in Week 3. Love seeing SEC teams go up in Big Ten country. That's at night. It'll be a whiteout there in Happy Valley. Should be rocking, one of the best atmospheres we'll see in the month of September, I think, in college football. Rotating game is South Carolina. That's the week right before the Iron Bowl. Those teams do not have their usual SoCon Saturday. That's been backed up a couple weeks this year. So Auburn will play an SEC game that Saturday before Thanksgiving. And they'll go back to Columbia where they lost last year in a game that probably is the one that cost Gus Malzahn his job when you look back at how last year ended up playing out. Of course, Georgia's on the schedule as well. Ole Miss, Mississippi State. They catch Ole Miss at a pretty good time after LSU comes to Oxford. So a potential for a win there over a preseason top 25 team, I think, if you're looking for an upset win for the Tigers. As far as a prediction, I got 7-5 for the Tigers. That's probably going to be the consensus. I have them 3-5 in the league. That means I do think they go up to Penn State and win. I had some concerns about that Penn State defense. I think Auburn can come in and kind of push them around the line of scrimmage. Again, rely on Bigsby. I like Bo Nix early. I worry about him kind of as the season progresses, but I think that experience will pay off at least in the month of September. So I think Auburn wins that game, but I do think they struggle with that SEC schedule. Got to go to Baton Rouge. Haven't won there since '99. That's probably a loss. Georgia and Alabama, both on the Plains, but I think those teams are so clearly better than Auburn. Those games might as well be on the road because you're not going to win them regardless of where they are. Got to go to A&M. Auburn's had a ton of success there over the 10 years the Aggies have been in this league, but I will call for a loss there. And, of course, Ole Miss and State, Arkansas as well. Those are the wins you're looking for. And at South Carolina, I think they get picked off there again. I think the Gamecocks will be a much better team in late November than they would be had that game been in the second week like it was last year. So 7-5, 3-5 for the Tigers. That puts them in the lovely Duke's Mayo Bowl. You're probably wondering where the hell is the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That is Charlotte. That is the new Belk Bowl. I believe it's the second year that they've had that name changed. And I've been playing the Pitt Panthers. So they'll try and complete the sweep of Pennsylvania if my prediction is right and they beat Penn State. And then they'll see Pitt down there in Charlotte to close out the season in the bowl. So probably about what most people are expecting for the Tigers, 7-5 in Harson's first year. That roster is just not in a great position right now. Recruiting kind of had tailed off toward the end of the Malzahn era. But again, I think they'll rely heavily on that run game. And if you like that style of football, they could be a pretty fun watch throughout this season with so many big games, as usual, for Auburn. So that's my Auburn preview. Let me know in the comments below what you think about the Tigers. Reach out to me on Twitter at MattSmithCFB. Check out SouthernPigskin.com for the written preview of Auburn. And thanks so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you all soon.